Mr. Hacker, welcome to the Caucasian Journal. Thank you for your attention to our readers. In the Bundestag, you are representing Bavaria, but it seems you have a genuine interest in our part of the world, namely in Georgia. May I ask you to tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got interested in Georgia?
Actually, in the Deutsche Bundestag, which I attend for almost 7 years now, I'm member of the Committee of European Affairs. And in this committee, I'm the spokesman, the spokesperson of my parliamentary group on European affairs. And therefore, in my obligations are those states, those countries who are part of the enlargement process. And whenever I come to a country, I try to not only to meet the politicians, but also the civil society people, young people especially. And I found on my first visit in Georgia, not only a genuine interest of the people, of the younger people, especially on becoming member of this bigger European community of the European Union. And I also got some ideas of how Georgian life is going on. Georgian food, Georgian wine, a very long tradition. So I came back and back and back again to Georgia, and I hope that my trip 10 days, 1 week ago, will not be the last in this year. So at the moment, we are planning 2 more visits to Georgia. It is an important country in a very difficult region, in a very difficult neighborhood, and I fear that the pressure from Russia is very, very high, even on the government. But we, as Germany, as the Federal Republic of Germany, but also the European Union, have to show face in Georgia.
Can you comment on the results of that visit of your delegation?
Actually, the delegation was one of the Committee of Culture and Media. And for 2 years now, we have a close connection to the Georgian Committee of Culture and Media. And of course, we planned political talks as well. But as the developments in Georgia went on, and the demonstrations were there every day, the Georgian parliament told us that they could not guarantee our safety within the parliament building. So those contacts could not take place. But of course, we had many contacts to people of Georgia, to government, NGOs, non-government organizations, to civil society. And we also attended the Zinandali concert of the Berliner Philharmoniker. And so it was a visit of cultural interest, of cultural cooperation, and it was intended to deepen the relations between Georgia and Germany. But as a result, we could see with our own eyes what was going on the streets of Tbilisi, but political talks could not take place. Nevertheless, we tried to get our message right and to tell via media and press releases what the German Bundestag is thinking of this so-called foreign agent law.
So we can say that you know about the protests in Tbilisi, the protests against the bill on foreign influence, not from the mass medias, but from your own personal experience, as you joined the peaceful demonstration in Tbilisi. How would you summarize your personal impressions from the demonstrations?
We went onto the streets of Tbilisi and saw the young generation, people laughing, people demonstrating. There was a good mood, a positive mood. People went on the streets for their own future. The people on the streets had a very clear view on which direction Georgia should go and what political measures should be done. And so it was impressively positive impression I got. And on Monday, when the government called for their demonstrations, we did not take part at the demonstration, but we were around our hotel and could see the buses that brought the people from all around Georgia to the capital. And you could see the people who had nothing of this positive, of this knowledge why they are on the street. And one thing I did not recognize on Sunday, but I did recognize on Monday, was that there was a lot of rubbish in the streets and a lot of remaining things. Fortunately, even this Monday demonstration, there did not show any signs of violence. Unfortunately, on Tuesday, this time was over, and we still were in Georgia, but no longer in Tbilisi. So I'm very concerned of the situation. On one day, on Sunday, we thought this will be the future of Georgia, and on Sunday and on Monday, the next demonstration seemed to be the past of Georgia. And I hope the young generation, the future of Georgia, will a future within the European Union.
The European Union candidate status was granted to Georgia just several months ago. How would you assess Georgia's European perspective now?
Actually, last autumn, on the day that candidate status was granted, the Georgian Committee of Culture and Media was on their visit to Berlin, and therefore we could celebrate this occasion in the evening with a meeting, and we all were very pleased. I always said that the candidate status was granted to the people of Georgia and not to the Georgian government, because out in the process towards this day, there were recommendations that should have been fulfilled by the government, 12, later on 9 recommendations. And if you look at those recommendations, today you see that the last developments, the last weeks, the acting of the Georgian governments do anything to hinder this process. So the Georgian Green government at the moment is acting against those recommendations by the European Union. Polarization and oligarchization, and the laws both should be reduced, but they are put even stronger. So and in addition, of course, the man who is behind the Georgian Dream had a speech, a very frank speech, on where he sees the future of Georgia. And I fear in his mind there's only a close connection to Russia possible and not to the European Union. And I'm very sorry at this moment that after having the success of granting a candidate status, now the things are moving, the political decisions are moving in the wrong direction.
Do you think from the side of the European Union, the candidate status might be put on risk if the new laws are adopted?
Actually, the candidate status itself is only one step ahead. What's coming after the candidate status is preparing for negotiation. And this further process actually is put to a hold if the government does not make the right direction and withdraw the suggested polls. So this situation is a very big burden for those future negotiations. And at the moment, I can't imagine that we will come back to a path of coming together if the decisions are not withheld.
What other consequences do you foresee if the new law is adopted? And from your point of view, what can be done? I mean, if it is adopted, what positive advice can you give us? I know that's a difficult question.
Actually, it is a difficult question, and the German government as well as the European Union are working on plans what will happen and what will take place. There are a lot of NGOs, a lot of non-governmental organizations, political foundations, private foundations that want to help to build a plural society in Georgia, to have different opinions, to have different looks upon developments. And this is very important for an open society, for a society where minorities are respected, where not only one political organization can control all media. Of course, autocratic political systems are in fear of different political opinion, of pluralism, of democracy itself. And therefore, these proposed changes or passed or adopted changes by the Georgian Dream government are of a big concern. The European Union is not only helping to build a civil society, to build pluralistic structures in Georgia, but it's also giving money, aid for developing situations. This on the one side depends on the development of the society, of the pluralistic society. So if the Georgian government stops building a pluralistic, democratic society, on the other side, it cannot expect that other help and other aid will flow into Georgia as it did in the past. So this is a really crucial decision, and I will not threat anyone which money might be or which project might be withdrawn, but there is a risk and there could be severe decisions by the European Union as answer. I still hope that it won't get it that far, that we find ways of Georgia coming back to the European course. And I still hope that maybe elections held later this year have a majority that the 80% of the people represents the 80% of the people who want to join the European Union. At the moment, the government is doing the opposite of this.
The conservative forces in Georgia often refer to so-called traditional family values, which are still consonant to the mentality of many people in Georgia. What are the best experiences or examples of dealing with such kind of argumentation?
Actually, if you look at Germany itself, after World War II, we had a lot of help from outside Germany to build a democratic society, to have pluralism in our own country, to have free media, to have a public media sector and private media, to have many, many newspapers. And this brought Germany, at least the Federal Republic of Germany, back to the countries of democracy, the countries that wanted to change the world to a better. And if you look at this experience we have of our own in Germany, there also are people who fear that being part of a bigger project like the European Union, every own single tradition may be less worth. But the bigger countries in Germany have Prussia and we have Bavaria. Those are different cultural approaches, different traditions, and they all still are there, and they all are part of this wonderful picture of Germany. and take into the bigger account, we have Italy, we have France, we have the Netherlands, we have so many countries that in their own way, the societies in their own way of living have specialities, have their own music tradition, theater tradition, have their own food, of course, and they all exist. But we all have one belief at the ground that the best way for people to live together is a democratic way with respect of the minorities, with free speech, with the possibility to speak freely, to choose the free choice of religion, that people respect each other, estimate their differences, but respect each other. And this is the European way. And Georgia is invited to follow this European way. And it's not necessarily that a country decides to go in this way. But if you look around, we celebrated 20 years of EU enlargement after the wall came down 20 years ago. Poland, Hungary, Czech, Slovak, and Malta and Cyprus as well could join the European Union. If you look at what they have achieved, those countries, both in democracy building on one side and in economic welfare, the people have a better life if they are part of this wonderful European Union. And therefore, we want to do everything to help the people of Georgia to join this big project. And therefore, the last days were not the best we had over the years, but we still will work together. It's worth it.
Yes, yes, exactly. And let's hope that the feelings of the younger Georgians, which you have witnessed yourself personally in the streets of Tbilisi, will overcome, will win in this standoff, and Georgia will remain on its European path. Thank you sincerely for your time and for your attention, and I hope we shall remain in touch.
Let's stay in contact. Thank you very much.
We cover what matters. Caucasian Journal.